And I will pass on to Callum.
Morena Koto. My name's Callum Ward. I'm a board member from Spreydon, and I'll pass it over to Mel.
Kia ora, Melanie Coker, councillor for Spreydon.
Pass it on, Mel.
Isn't that everyone?
No, well, you could pass it over to Marie.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Marie Byrne. I'm the acting community board advisor with the Waihoro Spreydon-Cashmere Community Board, and throwing over to Heather.
Well, Morena, I'm Heather Davis, the community development advisor for the Spreydon ward. I'll pass it to Jay.
Is Jay there?
Unmuted. Kia ora koutou, JCP Community Development Advisor Cashmere. Over to Watini.
Hello, Watini Hema Community Recreation Advisor for the Waihoro area. Over to you, Josh.
You're very faint, Watini. Oh, there you go. You were very faint. We heard you, but just.
I'll speak up.
Morena Koto, ko Joshua Tuku Ingoa. I'm a Community Partnerships and Planning Advisor for the Metropolitan Community Development team. Good to be here.
All right, Josh. And who you're passing it over to?
I think back to you.
Is that everyone?
We've got Kelly. Kelly,
Kelly,
who's doing the first
presentation. No, well, she can introduce herself at the presentation. Yep. And I'm Carolyn Potter. I'm the board chair for Waihoro Spreydon-Cashmere Community Board. Can we note that if you're not talking, can you mute, because we've got a heck of a lot of dogs, apparently, including mine. So if you can mute your, if you're not discussing or talking. If you could hold your hand up, though I don't see it. So if anybody else sees someone's hand up, please tell me, say Kia's got his hand up, just so I can know. Because for some reason, I never seem to see the hands that are up. It's being live streamed on the board YouTube channel, so it can be watched now and it can be watched later. It's just a reminder to all of us to watch our language. Welcome to public forum presenters, board members and staff. And we start with apologies. Any apologies for today? No apologies. Declarations of interest? No declarations of interest. Confirmation of previous minutes. Can I just check with Callum? The minutes say, Callum, that it's about the distance between vaping shops. But in my opinion, I would have thought your emphasis was on the number of vaping shops in Addington. Would that be right?
I'd say density would be a better word.
Okay. Can we change that, Marie, just so that future generations don't think we were talking nonsense? Can you talk about the density of shops in vaping shops in Addington in the minutes? And no, that's it. So has anybody else found any fault with the minutes? Can I have a mover and a seconder, please?
Happy to move, Carol.
Thank you, Lee. Can I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Callum. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, abstentions, carried. Thank you. The first discussion, and I think the only one, we've got nobody else for public forum. Is that right, Marie? No, obviously not.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry. I think I should stay unmuted so that I can respond quickly to you.
Kelly, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for coming from the Spreydon Tennis Club. It's been a while since we actually heard from you, and we're very glad to see you. We enjoyed the discussion around the tennis club reconfirmation of your lease, and we're glad to see someone actually from the club. Go ahead.
Morena, community board and staff, well, thanks very much for having me here this morning. Is my audio okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Look, I'll just go straight to the point. Our car park, which is on the north end of the domain, Spreydon domain, which is where the tennis club is and the Carrero Sports Club is, it needs a bit of maintenance. I've done some research into it, and I don't believe it's been resurfaced in about 30 years at least. The lines haven't been done in a very long time, the parking lines. As a result, the disability car parks are no longer visible. The water sits there, doesn't drain away. It looks pretty tired, and yeah, it's not a very good look. And that does result in other issues such as vandalism, because the place looks, you know, not well maintained, and that does attract vandalism, people dumping rubbish, and other issues. So what I'm here to ask today is if you could please look into this in detail in the next few years. I know the council
In the next few years.
In the next few years, look, I'm realistic. I know it can't be done tomorrow, but in the next few years would be more than sufficient from my standpoint. But yeah, I mean, if you go to other parts of Christchurch and compare it, you know, you can see the difference. You know, we're not asking for, you know, $1 million project or anything like that, but just basic maintenance. It does get a lot of use. I sent through a letter, and it does have a photo of the car park being used on a Saturday afternoon, and it's pretty much chock-a-block, people parking on both sides. So it does get a lot of use between the clubs. I know Suburbs is taking over the Coronation Hall, and between all our clubs, we would have in excess of 900 members, as far as I know. That doesn't even take into account the public that uses the facilities. We've got other groups that use the club rooms for other purposes, so it does get a lot of use. So any dollar that you spend would go to a good cause. From where I'm standing, it's definitely something that's, I think it's important, and it's great to see the facilities being used. But I guess you know, sometimes it does make you think about what else we can do, you know, in the future. So, you know, just going down to draw lines might not be sufficient because of the condition of the asphalt. It has to be a more long-term solution, I think.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Did you say that the disability car parks were no longer noticeably marked?
They're no longer visible. Yes,
yeah,
I've got.
Sure.
I sent for a letter with photographs, which you can see for yourself. So one near the domain side, sorry, one of the main terrace is visible, sort of. The other ones are no longer visible. You can't even tell they're there.
Okay, thank you. I haven't seen this, Marie, or the letter.
Yeah, I can bring it up now. I forwarded it to members yesterday, but I can bring it up now.
God, I looked at my thing twice yesterday.
It's in the hub folder. It's in the folder with the agenda separate.
Right. I don't look at that. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to bring it up, Carolyn?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just as a comment to you, Carolyn, could we put this in, because I think Kelly made a really good point with regards to Suburbs taking over the hall, and there's technically 3 clubs using this car park, or 4 if you're looking, or 4 groups, that we could ask John Fazell to include the review of the car park and and as extra funding towards, you know, the whole area because we are investing in the hall, which is well and truly overdue. So that may be a way forward to expedite it.
Yeah, I don't know why are we including what Suburbs got to do with this car park? Because I would have thought they could get this done out of operational without too much fuss.
Well, it may be, but I'm just saying it's just a way forward. That's all. Because I mean, it's that budget's pretty well set.
Maybe we should ask what year it's set in and the rationale for it. And it may be if they're doing building on the other site, you don't need big machinery driving over a newly paved car park and then do it twice. That sort of argument. I don't know.
Yeah. But why are we including the a football club's facility on the other side of our wards in this issue? I don't quite get it, Tim. Am I missing something here?
Aren't they taking the hall? Isn't
Yeah.
that the group? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the car park's right behind the hall.
Yeah.
So
Are you just saying because there's two car parks, one in
there will be overflow, and at the moment we're spending money doing up the domain hall.
Yeah, but that car park is in. What's that got to do with the tennis club in Cashmere?
That's not in Cashmere. It's right here. If you look at the screen,
This is
The domain
Spreydon.
terrace.
this is
This is
Spreydon.
Yeah.
I spent the whole time thinking this was Cashmere's tennis club. Gotcha.
No.
No,
Oh.
they wouldn't.
It's not even close, Carolyn.
I read the
It's
whole
such a bad
thing.
state,
Yeah,
Caroline.
Sorry, I read the whole thing thinking it was the tennis club because I know that the tennis club's car park needs help. That is just mindset stuff. I am so sorry, Kelly.
I thought you were going to throw me out.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
That's
I should have
mad of me.
explained
And
myself
I
better.
hadn't seen the photographs either. Oh no, of course we can.
And it's actually great seeing the photos too, because it really
It's
emphasises what
great
it is.
seeing the photos.
Yeah.
No, that your area has been quite neglected, I think, Kelly, and you're dead right. Oh yes, God, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
And the
about
other
that.
thing I was going to mention is there's no lights at present in the car park. So if you're going to spend money, it might be a good idea to look at that as well. Just just think for the future.
Well, yes, that may be pushing it, but let's ask. Can we just work up a sentence or two which asks that? You haven't done a draft, Marie?
No, but it could be.
That's right.
Well, I think it'd be really the first thing is, as Mel mentioned, is it or where is it in the schedule, and to bump it up, we are doing up the domain, the hall for the suburbs, and this is a growing. We've got 3 clubs, blah blah blah. So I think how we word that, but I think it'd be
so. If we could just word this up, and we'll take it that it as read, and we'll check it on in the next couple of days, Marie.
Yeah.
If we could work this up, saying that the tennis club is the Spreydon Tennis Club's car park, which doesn't just serve the car park, but serves the other people there, including Kiraroo and Coronation Hall, has had no maintenance. Ask them first. The first sentence is, when was it last given maintenance, upgrading and painting? Secondly, it's clearly in need of some maintenance, particularly the asphalt, delineation of car parks, particularly disability car parks, and no car parking lines.
I think.
And you want to ask when it's scheduled to be done next? That's the actual question we need.
That's the first question is, when is it scheduled to be done, and when was it last done?
And as through you, Carolyn, as Kelly has mentioned, I think we do need to emphasise, because when we say it's the Spreydon Tennis Club's car park, we need to emphasise that it's actually servicing 3 clubs plus the park, because that will lift its importance up. Because if we just go, it's 1 club's car park. So we've got to build it up
definitely. A bit. It will services the people who belong to the Kiraroo Club and
suburbs. The
tennis club, possibly in the future the toy library, and the public. Of whom in terms of grouping, the public is probably the largest group.
Yep. Can we also note? Sorry. Can we just note the aspiration for better lighting as well, please?
Yes.
Yep.
I think that's quite important, actually.
Yep.
For safety.
Yeah.
And I think if we make it a safety issue, that will emphasise it.
Yeah.
Now, Marie, we don't need to have an exact lighting, but if you've made a note of each of those points, A, when was it last done? B, when is it due to be done on the schedule? C, it clearly is in need of repair. It serves those 3 organisations plus the public. The disability car park has got no marking. The no marking signs are faded. The asphalt's in no good condition. And in terms of safety, it needs lights.
Right. Okay. I will.
If we can have that put together. Can I ask somebody who hasn't spoken if they would like to comment? This is obviously in the Spreydon ward. So Callum or Mel, have you got any other comments to make?
Oh no, I just want to sort of second everything that's been said. It's just it's sort of an obvious need to do thing, and it would be of huge benefit to a huge number of community groups and users. And I want to thank you, Kelly, for the letter with lots of photos. It's always helpful to have that context. So yeah,
particularly if you're me and floating around somewhere else. And I also was impressed, Kelly. The last time I was there in the tennis club, I was talking to your manager and chair, who discussed with me the fact that you run a sort of scholarship for young people who can't afford to join the club. And I don't know what you call it, but he was describing it to me, that there's available an entry into the club and the club support for people who don't have lots of money. I thought it was a fine example to set other clubs who are far better off and who could be doing the same thing. Is there any other comment that people would like to make, given that we've got an understanding of what the resolution looks like? Not the resolution, the request to staff. There's no mover or seconder required. Has anybody thought of anything that could be added? No. Thank you, Kelly. I apologise for my idiocy again. Thank you very much for coming to the board. We are grateful.
Thanks very much for having me.
And staff will come back to you with the response. And if it's not good enough, we'll see you again. Thank you very much. Oh, one day, ask members of the board to come down and have a chat. Maybe on a day that the pub's going, because I'm sure that members of the board, who are standing for Spreydon or who are currently members of the board would be very glad to come down and have a chat.
Great.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks very much.
Moving to deputations by appointment. There are none. Presentation of petitions, there are none. The Waihoro Spreydon-Cashmere Community Board correspondence. We have before us a letter from, Sam, which, and if you have a look at pages 11 and 12 in your agenda, and strangely pages 45 on the back of the Rowley School memo. I almost missed it. So if you have a look at pages 11 and 12 and 45 on the back of the Rowley School memo, you'll see all the things that are being referred to on this issue in a letter, including a letter from Sam Benton, and on the back of the Rowley School memo, a list of the streets that are involved, which I nearly missed. So everybody got that? So if we bring the issue on page 11 and 12 to this number 7, correspondence, and the list of streets to be concerned. And you'll see a resolution there. Now, I'd like to add some words if you're looking at the resolution. After the board, on the 4th line, the board notes the need for robust engagement and communications to support any process. I'd like to change robust to respectful and active. I'd like to make it active and respectful engagement and communications with both those people who were involved in this issue or have had relatives or friends involved in this issue, and the people who live on the streets concerned currently.
Sorry, Carolyn, can you start reading that back again? Because I missed the start of it.
I haven't got it in writing. I want, after the word, the board notes the need for robust. I want to delete robust, and I want active and respectful to be in there, and communications with both the relatives friends, and people concerned in the issues discussed, and the residents of the streets involved.
Carolyn, I can't find what it is you're talking about in the agenda anywhere, and I don't think Kia can either.
Karen, that was in the run sheet that we went through with you. So what I can do is show the screen, share my screen again, and bring that up.
You mean
is this an additional resolution to the first one? Is that what this is?
Hang on.
On page 11, there's one resolution.
I didn't realise that you guys couldn't see the draft resolution. I apologise for that. Okay, let's have a look at page 11 and 12.
So can you see a screen here that I've got a draft resolution that I've got highlighted there now? Okay, yep.
Can you make it a bit bigger for
absolutely.
old people?
And if you have a look at the back of the Rowley submission, you will see the Rowley thing on page 45. If you have a look at the back of that, you'll see a list of the streets concerned.
I think. Oh, I see. Yep. Okay.
Has everybody got that? Sorry, I didn't realise people couldn't see the resolution. Okay, we've got the resolution in front of us.
Yep.
Now, what I was talking about was it says the board notes the need for active and respectful engagement. Oh, it says active and respectful.
Yeah, I've just edited it in.
Oh, my document, the documents I received separately didn't have that.
Yeah, no, I'm just adding it in as you speak.
Yeah, no, it's up on the it's up on the wall. Everybody else's one shows respectful. My one didn't see that. The board notes the need for active and respectful. Oh, you've changed it in this time. Oh,
yes.
Great.
Yep.
You might, sorry, Marie, you might just need to broaden that back to residents as well. Just in the maybe just
after supporters and residents of the streets concerned. After supporters, residents of the streets concerned. And possibly it will stretch to residents' associations, but let's worry about that later, because it could be Spreydon Residents Association and it could be a residents' association under Hornby Riccarton. But let's leave that open.
I'm just trying to cut it down so it's not a huge sentence.
Yeah, maybe just say relevant parties, including, just so, relevant parties, including relatives, friends, supporters, residents. So we're not being overly restrictive.
Yeah.
Okay. Including,
I think we should explicitly say survivors. I don't think that there's explicit language about survivors. I think we should.
No, you might be.
We have relatives, friends.
Actually, it doesn't even say people. It doesn't even say people concerned. You're dead right. Survivors. Yeah.
So I just put supporters because relatives and friends are going to be supporters, aren't they?
Yeah. I think it's relevant rather than relative.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah.
It's stressful having your writing critiqued by a whole panel as you write.
It's okay.
We're doing
the entire internet.
Fine, it's fine. I apologise for you people not being able to see that. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? While you're thinking about it, can I just tell you that when we received the letter, I asked staff to go back and to say to Sam that he was welcome to talk to me on my own, Lee on his own, all of the board, either formally in a meeting or informally elsewhere, in any way that he wanted to do, and he has in the meantime declined.
How does that look now?
Good. Can I now put in the word urgent? Request that this urgent advice is provided back, because we've been quietly.
Advices urgently.
Yeah, it's urgently provided back because we've been asking for this quietly now for a while, and I'd like to get this done, so that the process can be, and after the word boards, so that the process can be initiated or started, whichever people think is after the boards, so that the process can be started or initiated. Okay. Anything else? Can I have a mover and a seconder, please?
I think you should move it, Carolyn.
Thank you. I will. Seconder?
I'd be happy to, but also if it was somebody from the Spreydon area, happy to.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, Lee, I think, oh no, you're well, I think it should be from someone from Spreydon, actually, Lee.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Callum or Mel?
Yeah, happy to move that.
Okay, seconder. So it's me moved, seconded, Callum. Any other discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Can I confirm unanimous?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Could you note in the minutes unanimous, please, Marie? Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 8. Can't be done because the presenter is Crook. Number 9, Boonhay Road.
Do we just leave 8 on the table? Sorry, Carolyn, do we just leave 8 on the table?
Yeah, leave it on the table.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me. Number 9, Boonhay Road, page 15 of your minutes agenda.
Tony is present.
Hello, Tony.
Good morning. Yeah, so this is just a brief proposal for a short section of no stopping lines outside Penny Lane Preschool on Boonhay Road, just to improve visibility for parents accessing the preschool car park. So not a lot to add, but happy to answer any questions.
I went up there and had a look. It's one of the more obvious things to do. Is there anything else that you can imagine happening on? I've always thought of Boonhay Road as potentially dangerous, just because it encourages speed, I think, and the number of kids coming out of the Mathers Road at the end of the school day. Is there anything else that you can think of on Boonhay Road that should be being considered or is being considered?
I guess the main one that's being considered is the lower speed limits around schools. So we're currently working through prioritising that and coming up with a program. So the intention is to brief the board on that soon, I think.
Would that include, because none of the, the Spreydon School comes out on Boonhay Road, but the other schools, do they? Yes. No. So would it be anticipated that that space on Boonhay Road at the end of Mathers and going back towards the exit from Spreydon School, would they be considered to be 30k?
Yeah, I can't confirm on exact areas, sorry, at the moment, but it's not just restricted to school frontages. So there is opportunity to go a bit wider if necessary, but that'll all be worked through for specific schools.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Mel. Seconder? Doesn't matter who.
And all shout once.
There was Kia. I saw.
Hi, Kia. Thank you. Is there any discussion and any questions you want to ask Tony?
I'll go if I can. I realise, when would we be getting how far away would be the briefing with regards to the 30Ks in front of schools? Because we've been pushing for this for a while, even though it's 30 years behind the rest of the world, thanks to what but we won't go there.
Yeah, I'll try and get a more of a timeline for you. I'm not involved in that specifically, but I'll chase that up and let you know.
Cheers.
Okay, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, abstentions, carried. You won't be looking forward to us going back to face, will you, Tony?
I actually quite like the face-to-face, to be honest.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's cool. So you don't care you have to start 20 minutes early to get to us?
No, I just find it easier being in person personally. Yeah.
I think you're right, actually, and it's more fun. Thank you very much, Tony. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for your work.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Number 10, Spreydon-Cashmere Discretionary Response Fund, Huntsbury Community Centre, Graham Dingle Foundation, Cashmere Bowling Club. Jay.
To move.
Oh, I was just going to ask Tim, is there any reason for anybody to divide these out into separate issues? Or are people happy to have them all in one? Okay, no naysayers? Fine. Thank you very much.
I'd be happy to second as well. Post
thank you, Lee. That's great.
Yep.
That puts it on the table. Jay, are you there?
Yes.
Kia's got his hand up too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Thank you, Jay. Jay, I'll let you start first, and then and who had their hand up? Callum?
Kia has his hand up.
Okay, you can be first, Kia, after Jay's spoken. Go ahead, Jay.
Just briefly, as tabled, there's now a shortfall in the budget that the Huntsbury Community Centre had ready to replace its roof. And that shortfall is over $6,000 and growing due to increasing supplier costs. So it previously did have a capital endowment fund, but the roof was not part of that project budget. At the time, the centre was intending to cover the cost of roof repairs itself. It then transpired that the roof actually needs to be replaced, and they'll still be aiming to pay for the bulk of that to happen.
And we've said 4,500. What do you reckon then?
The remainder, looking at the latest returns from the organisation, the remainder is affordable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't suggest an increase like I do sometimes, because Huntsbury's had some attention from us recently. If we start at Huntsbury, has anybody got any further questions or discussion?
Yeah, just following up on that, are we I guess, yeah, I'm just want to check, are we confident that they'll be able to go ahead with this at this point, with the are Huntsbury going to be able to go ahead with the roof replacement with this amount? I mean, I'd hate for us to kind of, if we could put an extra bit in and it would guarantee it, would that help, or are they okay?
They're not, they're in a reasonable financial situation. Of course, they would welcome a higher grant, but at the time of preparation, they understand that the recommendation and the amount, or the amount applied for in the recommendation, is 4,900.
And that's enough that they'll be able to move ahead, and there's not, yeah, cool.
Well, as I said, I'd normally recommend something here, but I think that they've had a bit from us recently.
And I mean, if they're able to do it, then I think that's fair enough. I just think if they were 500 short or something, and then prices go up and they're back asking for another $2,000 in 6 months or something.
Yeah, dead right. Graham Dingle Foundation Canterbury, remember they came to the board. This is for Rowley School. We've been assured that this is not part of the curriculum. It falls outside the curriculum, and that's all I care about. I don't like ratepayers paying for what taxpayers should pay for. I think it's a very moderate staff recommendation. So has anybody got any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, have they got funding sources lined up for the rest?
Yeah, I wanted to know that too. Jay?
Sorry, it's me. So sorry, funding sources lined up for what? Sorry.
Oh, hi, Heather.
Well, they've asked for 7,000 out of 23 or whatever, and we're giving them, well, potentially might give them, well, you've recommended 1.5k. So have they got sources of funding to cover the remainder?
They will have to apply for funding along with any other sort of group to other contestable funds, which other groups would also need to apply to, such as lottery or rata. I'm just I'm sorry, I'm on my laptop, so I'm having to flip between screens.
Did I also read the school is going to contribute 25 per pupil? Is that correct?
The school, the school itself, you mean?
Correct.
Sorry, Lake. Sorry, I'm fading in and out of the internet. I beg your pardon. So were you asking me what amount the school are contributing towards the project?
Just clarifying, sorry, I should have, just clarifying, I thought I read that the school was contributing 25 per pupil.
Yeah, it's either 25 or 27. And
yeah, okay, perfect.
I think it's slightly less just at the moment because it's a new project in the school.
Okay, thank you, Heather.
Can I ask a follow-up? So if do they need that full amount to be able to go ahead? So I guess my question is if we give them a particular amount and then they can't make up the rest of it from funding for some reason, can they use the money that we would be giving to them or not? In other words, do we need to wait to see if they get the rest of the funding before we give them our small portion, or how does that work?
So basically they've already committed to the project with the school. So, and it's for a year. So my understanding would be that they have somewhere along those lines the funding to actually run that project for a year. They will have to apply for funding, but they're generally a well-resourced group with a large number of sponsors that actually support the actual Graham Dingle Foundation. So my recommendation is based entirely on the fact that they're in the school 1 day a week, and the only bit I can look at is the 32% of that 1 day, which is meeting and greeting and farewelling at the beginning and the end of the day at school, and the time when they may be involved in the playground. I am unable to look at anything else beyond that.
Hang on, I'm just questioning this here, that with respect, curriculum, being outside the curriculum is a little bit different from being outside their school hours. So in other words, we have funded things in schools that have been in school hours but are considered outside the curriculum. So, and here you're saying to me that if it's in school hours, we can't consider it. But I don't think school hours is necessarily the school curriculum.
No, I asked them what amount of time they used outside of the school curriculum. And the response I got back was the time when they meet children coming into school at the gate, when they would farewell them at the gate, and when they would be perhaps in the playground at lunchtime or breaks when an incident or something might occur and they're able to actually help and assist in that playground. The other
hang on, Heather, that's exactly what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. We have funded actions in the school that have taken place in school hours. I don't think school hours and school curriculum are one and the same. We have, for instance, got people who walk us alongside the kids from Spreydon Baptist in schools, and they're doing it in school hours, but they're offering counselling and shoulder-to-shoulder work with the kids. And even though it's in school hours, it's not school curriculum. So I don't think we can limit ourselves financially to this sum of money at Rowley, believing that everything that happens in a school between 9 and 3 is school curriculum. It's not. You see what I mean? This may well be, this isn't curriculum, the program, is it?
It's run during the school curriculum.
No, it's run during school hours.
Okay, so it depends what, I'm sorry, I'm not, so it is run through the time at the school during the school day. So that's correct. And all children, my understanding, are involved in the project when it's operating at the school. So if you feel that that is not part of the school curriculum, that it is actually part of work outside of the school curriculum, then that's up to you to make that decision.
Okay.
I was asked clearly to decide between what was within the school curriculum and what wasn't. And the information that came back to me from the group was that 32% of what they do is outside of the school curriculum. And that's the only information that I'm able to give you at this particular point in time.
I think we've really got some confusion here. With the board's approval, I'd like to remove this one from the agenda and see if we can sort this out. Because we in the past have given stuff to schools or programs that aren't curriculum but are in school time. And I think we should sort this before we say yay or nay, because we'd be setting a precedent in my view. Mel.
But what Heather is saying is that that 7,000 amount is the amount out of school. I understand what you're saying, but we theoretically, based on the information we've been given, if we wanted to and had the funding, we could give $7,000 and that would be within our remit according to what information we've got. Is that correct, Heather?
So that's how much they've requested, yes. And my staff recommendation is only my staff recommendation. You are the decision-making body. The 7,000 is the 32% of the cost of running that project, which the Graham Dingle Foundation said to me they felt was outside of the school curriculum. I understand what Carolyn is saying, and if you feel as a board that you need further distinction about what you feel is in school hours and what you feel is in school curriculum, then I would suggest that you don't make a decision and you hold it back. And I will get the clarification that you require in the way that would make more sense to what it is that you're actually wanting to understand.
Or the alternative is we go up to the limit of 7.6. Can you explain why you're only offering 1,500 instead of a higher sum?
Because they felt that they would get sufficient funding from other places. And when I brought this to the board initially, I was told very clearly that you only wanted to look at the 32, what was outside of the school curriculum. And from my position, and bearing in mind, it wasn't just me, Watane also worked on this with me from the very reason that it needed two people to look at it. So maybe, so it's not just me that's looked at it, and it was felt that 1,500 was a contribution towards the project at the school based on the time that they were outside, the 1 day a week that they were at the school outside of the curriculum time. But I will come back to you again and say that if you feel you want more of a breakdown of what you consider and would like to understand as what is inside the school curriculum and what is outside of the school curriculum, then I would ask you to hold it and I will get that information for you.
Hang on, Heather, hang on. That decision lies with the board. Just hold on, Heather. I just think we haven't come across this before. I'm very strictly against funding the curriculum, but I don't believe that the curriculum can be confused with school hours for the reasons I talked about before with Spreydon Baptist. Anyway, I just want to see what the board feels. I don't think either you or I can sort this. I think the board should come back with an opinion on this.
Lee's got his hand up.
Yeah, Lee, go ahead.
I just want to just double check there isn't any time critical factors. I just wouldn't want the school being open to that $25, $27 being $75 or $100 per pupil. So is there any time critical element to this? Just just, you know, if there is a reason for us making the decision today.
So the project, it's just a standard discretionary response fund application. The project, as far as Graham Dingle are concerned, from my understanding, is set up for the year. So from my perspective, as the person who's assessed the funding and make the recommendation, I don't see that it would be of any a disadvantage to them if you wish to hold it over to the next meeting, which I think is what, the 30th, is it the 30th of May? And I can get the additional information that you require so that you feel that you are fully understanding what the situation actually is.
Okay. What do other board members think?
Tim and Melanie have their hands up.
Tim.
Just a couple of things, because I think it's really hard, I think we need to have a really good discussion, make it very clear to staff what we consider, because to kind of talk about this on the hop is really hard for staff. Yeah. However, the second, and I think that's probably the major thing that we need to sort out as a board. Second thing is, Heather, you said, or Watane, you said that they are fine with the amount that we're talking about, and that they can get funding from, or they've got funding from other sources. So this isn't, although it's great to support it, the amount that we're proposing here is acceptable. No, they can still work and carry out what they're proposing to do.
Yes, to my understanding is they are able to deliver the program as it is, and they're committed to that program for the year.
So for me,
I do want you to. Sorry, Tim. Beg your pardon. Carry on.
You finish, please. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. I would rather the board waited so that I can clearly comprehend from what you're saying on what you are now saying you would look at as being outside of the school curriculum, even though it's delivered within school time and not during breaks or lunches or the end or the beginning. And I'd rather that was sorted now, because there's another application which may be coming to the Strengthening Community Fund for a similar project. So I would rather we sorted that now, because that would give me the guidance that I then need from the perspective of the board of what you actually feel you will consider within and without of the school curriculum, within and without of school hours.
Okay.
I'm just going to jump in and make a comment. So the 68% that is outside of what they have requested for is within class, and it's sort of to support the health and physical education curriculum, which is quite a wide and varying curriculum. So that was indicated to us through Graham in terms of what that sort of mahi is, and Heather has put it in here in terms of the recommendation where she's mentioned antisocial behaviour, bullying and crime, and those sort of basic values sit within that health and physical education. But we can, like that was sort of alluded to within conversation, but we can firm that up if you'd like us to.
Yeah, I'm not.
Melanie's got a hand up as well.
Hang on, I'm waiting for that. Yeah, I don't see this as a confrontation between staff and us at all. I just think we just want to be careful about what is curriculum and what isn't. And I know that, for instance, we have funded or helped fund loads of programs in. Over the years I've been on the board, through Spreydon Baptist, for example, in schools, where they've supported broad principles of fairness and all of those issues, but it can be defined as not being specifically curriculum, even legally defined as not being curriculum. So I'm not interested in banning a project because it's in school hours. I'm interested in whether the teacher should be doing this as part of the ordinary curriculum.
Yeah, I think that, just to finish for me, that they've indicated that the funding...
Hang on, Tim, you've had several goes. I'm going to ask Mel. People have been going past the board chair at the moment. Mel, please.
Personally, I think actually for me, this is quite clear. Even if you went back and found out, following our rule, policies or whatever, that we would fund, the funding could be up to 20,000. I think the reality is how much do we actually want to fund them? And based on the information we've been provided with, we could give them up to just over $7,000. So I think personally, and I don't need any further information. I think now it's a discussion about how much we'd like to fund them, and the information from Heather's been pretty clear in Watano that they think that they'll get funding from elsewhere, and then the question would be, do we spend ratepayers' money to give to Rowley? And I'd love to give Rowley lots of money. So it's a discussion, in my opinion, on funding up to 7,000, because I think it would be unlikely we'd decide to give 20 when we know that they can get funding from elsewhere. So that's sort of where I'm sitting. So I would rather
Well, I personally would hold off in a friendly way and for a thing, but I do understand what you're saying, Mel. Personally, I would like to have contributed more. But on the other hand, I know from previous principals at Rowley that they are considered the poorest school in Christchurch, and they get quite a lot of attention because of that. So
Callum has his hand up, and yep.
Callum, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the conversation around, not spending ratepayers' money on the taxpayers' stuff is probably, it's possible that talking about the curriculum is going to confuse that a bit, because there are things that Ministry of Ed would spend money on that aren't in the curriculum, and I think that we should probably just frame it more in that sense, because what's in the NZQA curriculum is probably quite a detailed and complicated thing that the Graham Dangle Foundation's not going to understand as much better than we do. So I just think maybe framing it in terms of what the Ministry of Ed would fund is probably a more appropriate way of framing it. But other than that, I sort of sit with Mel in terms of, I think that this is something that from reading the staff assessment, and based on my own kind of limited knowledge of MOE, this to me seems like the kind of stuff that is suitable for, ratepayer money to supporting it. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a broad understanding from the board. Would people like this referred on? Would the people
Watanabe's got something to say.
Who's that? Who was that?
Watanabe.
Watanabe.
Has got some further staff advice.
Is that okay, Marie? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. As long as that's okay by the board chair.
Go ahead, Watanabe.
Just obviously with assessment, can't put every information, but that's indicated within the KiwiCan sort of brochure that they deliver class lessons that include themes that relate to the New Zealand curriculum. So I just wanted to make that comment to sort of reiterate Heather's point around the information that she received from Graham Dangle separating curriculum from non-curriculum.
Okay, let's reassure the school that I get a feeling. Let's reassure the school that notwithstanding a discussion on this issue, which is going to be plain and simple and without complications, we are going to hold off until the next meeting on this particular issue, on the understand, and please give them an understanding that some money will be coming, and it may go up and may go down. I don't know. Let's think about this?
Can I just go over the procedural options that you have as a board, just as the board advisor saying? So you can accept the staff recommendation, which is funding to $1,500. You can fund to a separate amount. You could decide not to fund and hold over for further advice in the curriculum. With the first two options of funding to the staff recommendation and or to a separate amount, you also have the option of asking for further clarification on matters such as curriculum as an extra to it. So you could fund and ask for further staff advice for future funding.
Marie, thank you for that. I do understand that, and that's what we're discussing. How does the board feel? Would the board would the majority of the board like to proceed with the 1,500?
I would like to move to, sorry.
Would the board like to proceed to another sum of money or 100? In other words, would the board like to make the decision today? Okay. Have I got any understanding from the board?
I'd be happy to make the decision today. They've said that they're happy with what's been discussed and with the staff and what's been recommended. So, but I think that we need to have a really clear discussion so we're all clear on what we're considering in the future, so staff have a very clear way forward.
Okay, Callum and Tim are in favour of today. Anybody else?
Melanie's got a hand up.
Yes,
Mel?
yes, I'm happy to do it today. I actually would like
That's
to.
three. That's
yeah.
3, and we have a 6 board. Anybody else?
Go on, I would have been open to a higher payment, just to say that, not to get circular on this one, but I would support today or potential. But if staff are saying that there's the potential tandem application, or they've got some certainty over the other funding sources, I'd be really happy for today. Yep.
Today, okay. Yep. So that's 4 for today. Let's discuss it for today. On the table is the resolution from staff, and that's 1,500. Is there anything? Do we have a mover and a seconder for 1,500? No.
Clarify. We've already.
Tim's just put his hand up.
We've already got a mover and seconder for the
we've got a mover and a seconder for all 3. So
yeah, that's right.
The discussion was, I would have presumed, was would anyone like to up it, as I think Melanie and Lev suggested. So that would be the discussion, I think.
Okay, you did right, Tim. I apologise. Is there anybody who's willing to move an amendment to test the waters?
I would. Sorry, again, I don't want to get circular. I would happily double that to $3,000 on the information I've got before me.
Yeah, me too.
Mel?
I was going to say 3,000 as well.
Oh, well done.
And as the mover, I'm happy to support that.
Okay, well done. So if we move it to 3,000, and this is an amendment to the main resolution, which is 3. So this is an amendment, and it's on the table. Lee moved, Mel seconded, $3,000 instead of the recommended 1,500. The discussion is on the amendment only. I'm going to move the amendment. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Against? Is there any against? No. I declare the motion carried, that the resolution now becomes that there will be 3,000. Staff recommendation is $3,000 on the Graham Dingle.
No, the board recommendation.
The board recommendation, yeah, is $3,000. Sorry. So that amendment becomes the substantial resolution. We now move to the third issue, which is hang on.
Cashmere Bowling
Club. Cashmere Bowling Club, and they ask for 4,000, and the amount recommended is 1,500. Is there any discussion on the Cashmere Bowling Club?
Just the same question as Rowley in the sense, are the club happy with this recommendation?
I'm sure they'd be happy with more, but yeah, that was just based off previous funding applications they've done in the past, and sort of just aligns with those. I'll just make the comment that they typically would have finances for this, but they had money tagged for some sort of maintenance work over the following year, and then have had a slight financial impact through COVID over the last year as well. So yeah, that's why they've come to us.
Thank you.
We're 1 month off the end of the financial year. I'd be tempted to increase this. He's paid, this is a greenkeeper, whoever it is, they works 20 hours a week. It's for the maintenance of the green. I'd probably increase it because we're 1 month off the financial year.
Mel has her hand up.
Mel.
Like I said last year, we haven't actually talked for this annual plan about increasing money to community boards, not that any decisions have been made. And remember, last time we didn't get, it seemed very much. because of those damn councillors. And we are using a lot of our rollover money from previous years that is going down each time. And I'm not saying I don't want to fund things, but I am looking into future years, although it will be different once we have Heathcote, but I don't know what that will look like, and we need to possibly think about that. I don't know if we want to think about that or not, but there's even our portion of the year up to October to think about. But so don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying.
I'm easy on this one, but I do think COVID's had an effect on many of these organisations. Is there any further? Can I have a move?
Tim has his hand up.
Sorry.
Tim has his hand up, and so does Lee.
Yeah.
It's actually Halsall that's coming. The Westmore, not the Heathcote, but I suppose bits and pieces. But anyway, how about we round it off at 2,000, Carolyn? Because the COVID has hit them, and it is a club that needs. It's a good local club with local support.
Yep, that's just showing a little bit of generosity. Tim has said he'll move 2,000 as an amendment. Is there anybody who would like to second that?
Lee's nodding his head.
Lee's seconding. Is there any discussion on the amendment only? No.
The only thing I might add, it's kind of related, is just that you just mentioned there's maybe some maintenance requirements. There's also an opportunity for the club to come back on a different matter if they're short of financial. So I think it's a prudent step that you've taken, Tim. So yeah, I'm happy to support. Yeah, and there's an opportunity to come back. Yeah.
Okay. And yes, I agree with you. Any other discussion on the amendment only? I'm going to put the amendment. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Okay. So we've got all three now. And just to clarify, the first one is the Huntsbury Community Centre, which we left at 4,900. The Graham Dingle Foundation, the substantial sum is now 3,000. And the 1,500 Cashmere Bowling Club, the substantial sum is 2,000. Are there any issues with any of that? I'm going to put the resolution for all three organisations, and pending Marie, if you could think about organising a discussion at the end of the next session of that the board has brought in for briefings. If we could organise a quiet discussion with staff on the issue of curriculum versus curriculum hours, and see if we can sort that, perhaps or the board may well consider that it's best left for the future board, and that might be a prudent thing to do as well. But we'll discuss that, and any views on that, please convey them to me. So on the resolution, as I've outlined, all those in favour, please say aye. Against? Abstentions? Carried. Thanks very much, everybody. It was a good discussion. We're now up to the area report. Presenter Marie.
Okay, so the area report is standing there. You'll see. Is there any questions on anything from it?
Just as a heads up, with regards to the CCTV cameras, there's a discussion pending within council to give a heads up about that. So
yeah.
So I missed that. Sorry, Tim, what did you say?
So with regards to the discussion around CCTV cameras with prevent crime, etc. So there is I've asked staff to put the correct people together to have a really meaningful discussion about that and the issues and the lead with police, etc.
Yeah. So if I
it'd be good for that to kind of come and do a briefing here as well with the board.
Yeah. So if I can give a bit further update, we're arranging for Gary Watson to come and do a briefing to the board on CCTV cameras. At the moment, he is snowed under because he's doing the welfare issues with Bromley, with Bromley residents, so that's taking up a lot of his time. We have also got, but I'm hoping that he'll be able to come to one of the next two briefings. You've also got Senior Sergeant Roy Apley coming along to a briefing on the 30th of May. So that's an opportunity for you also to talk to him about the CCTV cameras at that stage.
Well, it's good for him to be coming back. Thank you. If we go through the issue. Yes,
Can
sorry.
I just add to that conversation just while it's still relevant? Just I went to Port Hills Trust last week. They've decided to just leave that matter direct to them and CCTV cameras on the table. They're just going to take on board some more advice because they just want to traverse the whole scenario, privacy issues, cameras. So they've got a member that's linked to the police force in there in the organisation. So they're just going to seek on board more advice before they decide whether that's something they want to pursue. So yeah, that's the latest and greatest from Port Hills Trust, just in terms of their specific issues.
Do you think that they would like, for instance, a park ranger to come down, one of Paul's park rangers?
Paul Devlin is actually, he attends the 6 weekly meetings. He couldn't attend the last one, but he does typically attend. So he is very much part of that board and does contribute.
Sure.
So
yep, sure.
I was already helped with the sign as well.
How did he manage to turn up to that meeting while he was negotiating for the red zone occupation? That's amazing. So if we go through community service awards, summer with your neighbours, the Youth Achievement Fund and so on, participation, Cashmere Roundabout. Have we got any idea, Marie, when that's going to come to the board?
No, not at this stage. It's just the information that staff have provided you there.
Could you just mention quietly that we would really appreciate this before the board stands down prior to the election? You know, the all important issues stop coming to the board before the election. Then there's the annual plan. And the district plan is not mentioned here, but we finished the district plan this week inadequately, I thought.
That will go into the next area report.
Yeah, of course it will. Actually, I wish I'd had a little bit more, I don't know, information on the, because I just felt a little bit inadequate about the district plan. Public forum, forums there, deputations, correspondence, briefings listed, etc. Kia crossing, plantings near Cashmere Tennis Club, vehicle break-ins and so on. You can see all the things that have been raised. The seats in the Ernest Clark Reserve have had their weeding done all around them. Is there anything else that people have thought about? Oh, internet connection, they're going to come back to us. Anything else that people have thought about? Okay, can we have a mover and a seconder for the, to staff? Is there anything else staff want to say about the issues raised in the area report? Do Heather and Jay or Watanabe want to say anything, Marie?
Watanabe, I think, is coming on board to say something.
I was coming on board to say, no, I don't have anything to say, sorry.
Get out of it as quick as you can, Watanabe.
No, it's just as stands there. Basically, the area report is pretty much a summary of what has happened in the previous meetings and the decisions you've made and the advice you received.
I was a bit upset about the summary of the submission of the City Council to Environment Canterbury. Our investment in that submission to ECAN was more than what is listed there, and including on flooding and water and bus routes. And we're only mentioned once, which was support for Environment Canterbury's focus on addressing the impacts of climate change. I wish we'd been mentioned in terms of buses, because I think we're under serviced by buses, and I thought that we could have been. I thought the council could have widened the scope a little bit, because we only mentioned once. And then there's the draft annual plan too, which Lee and I both presented at. Is there anything you want to say about that annual plan, Lee? submission?
Well received, but yeah, nothing further to add.
Yeah. And I'll just mention quietly too, at the last meeting, we raised 2 issues which were both picked up by the Mayor. One was the renaming of the streets. And what was the other one?
The library? No.
No, she picked up both of them. She wanted both of them.
Vaping?
Going vaping, yes. She was very interested and hot about the issue of vaping. Both issues were picked up by the Mayor, asking for comment from staff immediately. So we're hoping that we'll get something more out of that. And my last thing is, I sent around a clipping from a boy being hit on Linwood Avenue by running onto a pedestrian crossing when there was a red light. And I said to Lee a few weeks ago that all the time I'd been on the board, boys running out onto the road were the causes of most community upset about crossings in the wards, in our wards. And it's happened about 4 or 5 times in the time that I've been on the board. Okay, is there anybody else like to comment before we finish up?
Karen, so would you like that bit that you've just shared as part of the members' information exchange rather than the area report consideration?
No, we'll put in members' information. Well, I wasn't even thinking of members' information exchange, but I'm starting now. Sorry, I forgot about members' information exchange. Starting with Callum, members' information exchange.
Nothing particularly board related, although I was approached by a guy who in our ward who got knocked off his bike by a bus and received a very dismissive sort of non-apology from the bus operator about it. So he came to me because, you know, council obviously owns the buses and well, yeah.
I think we
should have been referred to ECAN actually, Callum.
I went to ECAN once and they were very good.
Okay.
So in all seriousness,
it wasn't the response wasn't regional council. He wasn't he didn't contact ECAN, I don't think. So I'll put him onto them.
So where did it happen, Callum?
I'm going to go chat to him this afternoon. He only messaged me last night, so I haven't got the full story, but I'm going to chat to him about it this afternoon.
Because I think notwithstanding, but his bike may have wobbled in front of the bus. Notwithstanding that, I think that's quite serious. I think buses should not be hitting bikes, no matter what bikes do.
No, totally agree. Yeah, and I think it's often the cyclist blamed by default when you get a collision with a vehicle. That's the attitude that people have in Christchurch, unfortunately.
Yeah. Thanks. I think we should make a note of that one. Thank you, and you'll let us know where, just out of interest.
Yeah, I can send you guys more details when I've got
that info. That'd be great. Next person, Kier.
No, I don't think I have anything for Legion Members Exchange today.
You guys are going to be so shaken by the amount of work you do next year, because it will be quite different for you. It'll be interesting.
Sorry, no, that's a lie. I did have something, which was we had a meeting of the Te Tiraka Hiku, the Red Zone Land Use Group last night. Obviously, the co-governance entity for the Takaro Avon Red Zone corridor is kind of moving forward, and that's awesome and cool. What that will mean, though, is that probably the Red Zone land on the Port Hills that won't sit with that, so that will probably where that lands in council, I'm not sure, but I've asked that if perhaps Chrissy can come talk to the board, possibly even the new board, once we've amalgamated with Heathcote, because they have a lot of Red Zone land up above right, Scarborough, Taylor's Mistake, stuff like that, and they're willing to do that. So I think that's a conversation that will, there's kind of lots of little penny pockets of kind of land up there, a lot of which is currently leased out for actually quite a lot of stuff that's leased out to neighbours and stuff, so probably not ever going to be super exciting, but just as a heads up that's probably...
I would expect them, I'd expect them to come and report to us about the implications of whatever the recommendations that they're going to make. But missing me out on this, Kia, and making it the next board means I won't be able to throw jam at you from the board chair's table.
Oh, you could probably just come along anyway. I'm sure we could send you an invite.
I could bring an axe. That'd be good. Thank you, Kia. We should make a note of that actually, because we haven't asked about the committee in recent times. So, thank you. Who's next, Tim?
Yeah, just two quick ones. Just the follow up with regards to the issue of the roadworks on Centurus Road. There's a couple of kids nearly hit on there where they were doing the roadworks. The council got onto it really quickly, and the contractors have really stepped up. So that's been great. And just, I guess, just to reiterate with the buses, as Kia kind of alluded to, I found ECAN really, really good. When I was following a bus on Centurus Road, and it was like it was drag racing. It was, I followed it up to, it was doing over 80 Ks. So I rang ECAN and said, look, this is the situation, I had the bus number and all that. I didn't say that I was a councillor, and they were bent over backwards. The manager of the bus company rang me and said, oh no, look, that's not blah, 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 blah. And I gave him a rev up. I said, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I gave him the times, the bus number, the speed it was doing, the maximum speed. I said, it's actually appalling that you've rung and said what you have. So I hung up on him. I rang ECAN back and gave them not a blast, but a heads up that the manager had given me a blast about what I'd said, which was factual, and then told them I was a city councillor. So I didn't want to get any call back. So I have never seen a bus going that speed again on Centurus Road. So ECAN are really good on it. So just say that. And that's my lot.
I came through that that traffic thing yesterday, and it was frightening. In fact, a guy ran ahead of us to change the arrows where they'd put the arrows. He ran along the footpath to change the signage because it was frightening. It was difficult. I don't know.
They're having a nightmare with cars not doing 30 Ks. You go, it's just appalling. It really is. And so I think the contractor and the council are talking with the police now. It's just got ridiculous. So what they are thinking of doing, if they can't improve it, but just for the school crossings morning and night, they do step up a whole lot of things. But they are thinking they may have to make it one lane, and everyone just bloody well slows down. So
stuff some, yeah. And also, I think one of the dangers is it's near that pedestrian crossing, which traditionally nobody ever takes any notice of on Centurus Road as well.
It was actually at the other end that the kids nearly got hit. But anyway, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, really tricky that. Mel.
Hey, so I went to the Rowley Hoon Hay network meeting the other week, and the key thing I learnt, one, that Roy had hurt his ankle, but that wasn't the key thing. The key thing was that there's a new kāinga ora, I don't know what her title is, and I think her name's Mel, and whatever Jessie's role was before, and she is really enthusiastic about working with people who are under her remit, I guess, to tidy up properties and paint fences and do lots of cool stuff. So, and she used to live in one of the homes herself. So she sounds really cool. So it was nice to hear from her. I met with a resident in Spreydon on Witchbury Street who is concerned about all the 2-storey or maybe 3-storey houses going up all around his property, and distances from fences and all of these sorts of things. And he used to live in Addington and knows Anne-Marie, one of the sisters, with the beautiful gardens there. So she was there too. So it was interesting to talk to him. yeah, he wanted to know about property boundaries and things like that. But people are concerned about all these properties going up. And one issue he did bring up that we haven't thought about in our area before, and Carolyn and I did talk to one of the staff in town about it, was around rubbish tins, like rubbish bins. Once you have lots of properties up a driveway, suddenly you've got, 30 rubbish bins along one front or a couple of houses. So anyway, more of this will come along, but it was good to talk with him, and he'd done his house up really nicely. I heard from another resident that lives around the corner from me about Gainsborough Reserve and the length that the grass is cut to, which was it appears to be cut to about a couple of inches, like quite long, and he gets out his mower and mows a rectangle around the soccer posts, which some kids have actually put a net on now. And to be honest, when I go around to here, I thought that the council was actually chopping this bit a bit shorter for like a little pitch, but no, it turns out it's this man that lives across the road. So I got advice about the maintenance for it, and they supposedly cut it to 5 centimetres high, but it often seems longer than that. But anyway, so our local ranger's got someone else he can now keep in touch with about that. So that's good. It might be another community award situation, I don't know. And it's to do with council, the Quarryman's trail extension up to the Integrated Bridge, which is obviously outside our area, but a lot of people in our area would use it trail to get into town, so that's been passed with council at the last meeting. There was NZTA did its speed changes, which actually doesn't affect our ward because the bit on Hallswell Road, as I'm talking about, Curlitz, Hallswell out past Hallswell through Taitap and all the way out to Ikaroa. And a lot of the speed changes have decreased, but the bit now on Hallswell Road is still the same at 50. But Curlitz going from 100 to 60 is quite a big drop. I think people will find that challenging once that changes. And there was also the, that's probably about it. But this morning, when I was awake at about 7 something, I heard this fire alarm going. And I was like, where is that? If anyone knows, I'd be interested. But my guess is it could be Barrington Mall. It's those kind of, everyone leave the building type thing. And it sounded, I couldn't figure out where it was from. But
I was walking my dog. I was walking my dog at the same time, and I talked to a person who I went past and said, "What is going on?" It was that whoop 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 thing. Plus, it sounded like police with a megaphone.
Yeah, they have that same alarm at the university, in the big libraries. So it's to get people out of a large building. So that's why my guess it was Barrington Mall. Maybe it was a overly cooked bakery item or something, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it sounded gripping this morning. Somebody, the most important person in the world, Lee. I think I'm right.
I'll take exception to that, but never mind. I mentioned Port Hills Trust earlier, so I'm not going to traverse that, just that they're obviously having a debate and discussion about security matters and how they deal with it. Or just to acknowledge the success again of the Mother of all cleanups the weekend before last. I think it's just so cool that we've got this collective stewardship and the river links up our communities. I think it's just super, super cool that we've got that asset that links us as communities. Also, just a bit of a heads up, the Cashmere Catchment Working Group that I was part of, a derivative of the Zone Committee, is it's been in hiatus for quite a few months, but we've just got a heads up that we are going to get around the table again in July. So, and we're going to have a couple of presenters. So it's nice to see that working group coming back to life again. So,
what's that one? What is that one?
It's the Cashmere Catchment Working Group, which is derivative of the Zone Committee with ECAN, which you selected me for. So it's just good to see that that's coming back to life again. And we've got a couple of presenters in July.
Okay. And as far as I can't remember anything else that is concerned about. I can't think of anything in members exchange. Anything anybody else wants to say before the end of the meeting? Okay. God, don't let me die in Auckland, rotting in the heat before your eyes are closed. A greasy takeaway after the soul is gone. Jesus, no. Let me go with the old southerly buster, river stones in the grey flecked sky, and that white wind to keep your chin up. Christ, yes. Thanks, everyone. See you at the next meeting or before. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Marie, for all your hard work. See you all later.
Bye.